It ain't nothing like it on planet Earth. You ain't got to leave United States. If you go see the Smoky Mountains, they got a lot of lookout points. You can pull over and look. Seriously, you quit breathing. If you can do that and don't believe in God after that, you're just something wrong with you. And that's. If you having any trouble about is there a God, drive down I-40 through North Carolina, right outside of Asheville. Just go see it. God is everywhere, man. He's a bad boy. He done some stuff. He's a bad dude. I ain't never seen nothing like it. The stuff he be waking his hand and just whoosh, and just do. God cold, man. God cold. Let me tell you something. I ain't never seen nothing like him. Just
if you just make a decision, it can be sometimes the day that starts you on a brand new journey. Now, some decisions are incidental and some are small and some, are part of a working day. But sometimes decision making can be one of the most important days of your life. Maybe a decision you've postponed, and now you understand the penalty of postponing that decision. You've got to do something, and finally you come to the conclusion, today is the day. I now decide. And whether you decide on a new direction, whether you decide on a refinement in philosophy, whether you decide to act when before you haven't acted, you decide on a series of things that you're going to do, you decide. Deciding can be such an incredibly important, very exciting, inspirational day. Also, deciding sometimes starts the process of lifting our self-esteem. Sometimes when you look back on it, the day that you decided was just about as exciting as the day when you finally accomplished the project. That when you finally made the decision, you finally got the monkey off your back, as we say in English. You finally, got through whatever barriers kept you from making that decision, and finally you made a decision. And now it seems like the sky is blue and the air is clear and your mind is ready and, the adrenaline starts to flow, things start to happen to you from that moment of decision. So that can be an incredible source of inspiration. Now, if you don't follow through, it's not going to last all that long. If you decide and then, postpone and you decide but you still don't get to it for a week or a month or a year, soon all that energy and that source of inspiration is all dissipated. So deciding is inspiring, but not for that long. But once you decide, it can be a very powerful day. But now, of course, you must follow through. But if there's some things you've been postponing, some decisions you have just, haven't gotten to, I would ask you to just, take out your journal and just go through, what have I been postponing that's not going to be better for my health? It's not going to be better for my future. It's not going to enhance my finances. Maybe a problem needs to be solved. I got to decide when I'm going to do it and how I'm going to proceed. I need to get to it. I promise you, if you'll go through some of that list and start making those decisions, your inspiration will start to flow, and those could be very critically important, exciting days. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. Indecision means the door is still closed. Indecision means the opportunity waits. Indecision means what could be is postponed or may never be. Those are all the penalties of indecision. And sometimes we can't make a snap judgment. We can't decide immediately on something so important. But after a while, we must understand sometimes the heavy penalty of putting off our decision making. So, one source of inspiration, deciding. Life is fairly brief, so you got to read every book you can get your hands on what to do with your springs while they're here. And take advantage, they soon run out. The Beatles wrote, "Life is so short." And for John Lennon, it was extra short. But life is brief. Elton John sings, "She lived her life like a candle in the wind." It's brief. So whatever you're going to do with your life, you got to get at it. Don't just let the springs pass.
changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. That living alone is just very difficult. And once we begin to come to grips with the fact that living is difficult, life is very challenging. I heard a song once by a guy named Dimples called, "If It Ain't One Thing, It's Another." I say to you, if it ain't one thing, it's 12 others. Always something. You will never ever have a problem-free moment in life. Somebody said, and I like this, that you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. Anybody found that to be so? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's always something. So how do we begin to nurture that hunger? What are the characteristics or the qualities of people that are hungry? What will it take for me to get some of the things that I want? And being hungry for those things. Number one, you've got to work on yourself. It's very important that you engage in an ongoing process to develop you. Spend more time on yourself than what you've been spending. It's very important. You owe that to yourself. I was reading a book by Og Mandino called The University of Success. Read one line, gave me a chill. I didn't have to read anything else in the book. He said, many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin. Don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. And then there goes a second. There goes another second. There goes another second. And we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind in your dreams and your bills. So decide that you're going to take some time to work on you, that you deserve that from yourself, that your life deserves some prime time because you are creating your own production. As Michael Todd would say, you are the star of your show. You are the director. You're writing the script. And you will determine whether your life is a smash office hit or flop. You determine that. Working on yourself, talking to yourself. That's so very important. Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You've got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up.
And I'm not as good a salesperson as many people here. Many people here are better salespeople than me, but I learned the cause and effect relationships. I learned that selling is like cooking. There's recipes for selling. There's formulas. And if you follow them, and by the way, they've spent $20-30 million in the last few years videotaping 55,000 sales calls and watching the calls and reviewing the videotapes and having people sit in the back taking notes. And they interviewed the salespeople before the sales call and afterwards, and they interviewed the customers before the sales call and afterwards. And if the customer decided to buy, they asked them, and they played the video, at what point did you decide to buy? If the customer decided not to buy, they asked, why did you decide not to buy? And they did this with 55,000 calls, and they began to draw cross correlations, and they found that every sale follows an exact process. And it follows an exact process in the customer's mind. And that if you sell the way the customers buy, you'll sell 5 and 10 times as much as you sell today. The reason that we don't sell is because we sell differently from the way the customer buys. It's the same as if I was to speak to you in German, or you were to speak to me in Chinese. I mean, it would be like using a different language that we don't understand. So what I found was that if you do what other successful salespeople do, based on the exhaustive research, your sales go up. And I tried it, and sales went up. And you could take people, I took people off the street who'd never sold anything in their lives, and I said, here's the system. And these are sometimes the very best salespeople of all, because they don't have any ideas or fixed ideas. So I said, just do it this way. Say these words, do it this way, say these words, do it this way. And they did, and their sales went like that. And they went past people who'd been selling for 5 and 10 years.
Well, we do a broadcast. We're very fortunate here. We built our own studio about 4 years ago, and we can broadcast all over the world from here. And so I've been doing the odd broadcast at least once a week, Good News by Bob Proctor, and trying to help people become aware that although you cannot change conditions or circumstance, you don't have to let them control you. We can't control what's going on outside, but we can control what's going on inside, you know. And unfortunately, I don't think many of us have been raised to really understand that.
Yeah.
And it's a lack of understanding that's causing all our problems.
Sometimes, you know, I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about something, and usually what I'll do is go write it down. I have some writing to do, so I get up and I go write down what I'm thinking, and that usually does the trick. But because I had been playing with YouTube, I thought, well, I'll try making YouTube video and telling people what I'm thinking about and see if that performs the same function as writing. And to me, the function of writing, well, it's twofold. One is conceivably to communicate with people, although the fundamental purpose for me is to clarify my thoughts so that I know to, you know, because if something is disturbing you, what that means is that it needs to be articulated. It's the emergence of unexplored territory, something that disturbs you. That's the right way to think about it. It's unmapped territory that's manifesting itself. It's like a vista of threat and possibility, and you need to articulate a path through it. And so that's what I was doing. It's like I was thinking, well, this is bothering me, and this seems to be why, and here's what I think is going on, and so I made the videos, and in some sense, I didn't think anything more.
You know, I went to work, a little while later got married, started this little family, but falling a little bit behind every year. Finally, the creditors once in a while are starting to call, and I'm embarrassed by that. And then I'm sure some of you, if you've listened to my cassette tapes or the CDs or heard some of my material, the Girl Scout story finally occurred, age 25. I hear this knock on the door. I go to the door, and there's this Girl Scout, about this tall, selling cookies. And she gave me one of the finest sales presentations I've ever heard. Special deal, only $2. And with a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. No problem. I wanted to buy. Big problem. I didn't have $2 in my pocket. I'm a grown man. I live in America. I'm married with a family. And I've been working for 6 years. And I didn't have the $2 in my pocket. And I didn't want to tell her that. So I did what I thought was next best. I lied to her. And I said, look, we've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies. We've still got plenty in the house we haven't eaten. She said, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I mean, how low can you get lying to a Girl Scout, right? I mean, that's the ultimate. So I started my search that day, and sure enough, very shortly I met this extraordinary man by the name of Mr. Earl Schoaf, and my life was never the same after that. I had the opportunity to go to work for this extraordinary man. I worked for him for 5 years, then unfortunately he died, age 49. But the things he taught me during that 5 years transformed my economic life especially, but my personal life, my leadership, came from that unique experience. So maybe it's true when the student is ready. When someone says, I've had it, you know, this is it. I don't want to live like this anymore. And then you begin a new search. If you start the search, the odds are excellent you will find good ideas. If you search, you will find. Finding is reserved for those that search. Ideas are not reserved for those that hope. They're not reserved for those that wish. They're not reserved for those who complain. You know, good ideas are reserved for those that search. Go home with a harvest of good ideas for your business, for your life, for your marriage, for your friendships, for your economic future, and, you know, for all of the rest. We've all heard the expression, nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. The walls came tumbling down about 15, 16 years ago in Germany, and the time had come for capitalism to finally reach those unfortunate countries that have been dominated by communism for so long. I've made 5 trips to all the major cities. It's incredible when an idea finally comes and the time is right, what can happen. Nothing so powerful as an idea that comes at the right time. And the chances are excellent if you keep going to as many things as you can get to in terms of information, ideas, seminars, lectures. Because if you go continuously, some of them will be routine, some of them may be ordinary, some may be extraordinary, and you're never the same again. And you'll look back on that experience and say, that was one of the days that turned my life around. No one person has all the answers. No one person has all the ideas. We need to gather ideas from a variety of voices, from a variety of experience, from social to personal to political to the management of time, business, entrepreneur, career, all of that. Being a good parent, a good mother, being a good friend, a business colleague. Got to have a whole variety of ideas.
Bishop has inspired me, and it's really helped me understand my walk. I'm nothing no more than you. My job has been exceptional, though. I've been very blessed in that I've lived a life to pursue my passion and tied it to my gift. I'm gifted at comedy, and I've been able to pursue it. So I wake up every day, I play music and tell jokes. But people, they look at that. Well, see, you lose sight of the fact that I'm 54, though. And you don't know the fact that I've been doing this 27 years in order to get to the point where I can wake up and play music and tell jokes for a living. But they have no idea the journey and the stress. And what I want to talk to you about is stress. How it's necessary if you planning on getting to where you're trying to go to. See, stress is preparation. But what most people do is, once you get stressed, so now you give up, you through. I'm stressed, so I don't want it. I work with a trainer. I go after workout. Really, I ain't nothing fly, nothing like that. Really, I am, but I'm not. You've been to your reunion, and you didn't know who was talking to you because you was going, whoa. And then you go look in the mirror and go, okay, I need to check myself. Do I look that bad? Because some people just let themselves go. But you got to, in order to develop and to change and to grow, stress is necessary. He said, every morning on the plains of the eastern Serengeti Desert, there arises a gazelle that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest lion, or he will be eaten that day. On that same desert arises in the morning a lion that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest gazelle, or he will starve that day. The moral of the story is, no matter who you is, when you wake up in the morning, you need to be running of how to work. In order to get to where you want to go, you got to put yourself under some stress, though. See, stress is necessary. This is what I done learned about it. And all I can tell you is, how I got to be who I am. That's all I can share with you. But you got to be willing to get under some stress. God cold. He tricky with it. He got moves you won't even. 3 of the things I was gonna talk about, he talked about. Now I got scared to talk. See, I'm a seed. I really am. See, but a seed has to be planted. A seed got to have dirt put on top of it. If you take a seed and throw it on the concrete and walk off, the sun just burned it up. In my mind, it doesn't make sense that to grow something, you should dig a hole, put it down in there, and cover it with dirt. Logically, that don't make no sense to me. Dirt is necessary for growth and development. Dirt builds character. Dirt makes you come with it when you don't feel like coming with it no more. And you get dirt in a lot of different ways. All of y'all that had dirt thrown on you. Is somebody talking about you down on your job? Is somebody accusing you of something that you didn't do? Is somebody telling you you ain't gonna make it? Everybody get dirt put on. But see, when you getting put under that stress, God is always working, so I smile. Because I know he back there. See, that dirt builds character in you. When they talking about you, it teaches you to withstand it. Then it gives you something to push through. So when you put the seed and you put the dirt on it, see, they don't call it dirt when they plant it. They call it soil. Because, see, soil has nutrients in it. What the nutrients, when people talking about you, dogging you, lying on you, backbiting, stealing from you, talking about you, they're actually putting nutrients in you. The seed sprout open and start coming through the dirt. Because the dirt is necessary so you can prove yourself. You know, if you don't really want to, everything you see above ground that blossoms and plants and grows and that's beautiful, it was underground one time. Them apple trees, they was underground one time. So they had to prove themselves. See, you want to be successful, well then you got to prove yourself. You got to push through the dirt. So when you under stress, take the stress for what it is. Don't get fooled. Man, Lord must not mean for it to be. What you tripping for? How you think you gonna be a plant, a tree, a flower, and ain't no stress? How you gonna get to be that without no dirt? I expect people to talk about it. Matter of fact, I look forward to it now. Do your thing, because if I can weather what happened to me earlier, you can bring whatever you got now. There's some more stuff going around now that's about to happen, because now I have developed a character. I have soil, enough dirt on me that has provided me with nutrients.
You're going to have sometimes low moments when you won't want to get out of bed. You just want to stay there. At times you won't want to come out. You won't want to come out the house. It's hard living. Life is hard. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard when you're working on something and you put everything you have in it, and it doesn't work out. You lose your money and other people's money. It's hard. You will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you.
And it's in these moments right now that so often we feel like backing down.
What is it that will make it worth it for you to face the rejections? What is it that will make it worth it for you to brainstorm and not be intimidated and say, I can do this? What is it that will make it worth it for you to raise the bar on yourself and say, I got some more stuff in me? What is it that will make it for you when you want to give up and things are working against you? What is it that will help you get back up again?
A man's character is not judged after he celebrates a victory but by what he does when his back is against the wall. So no matter how great the setback, how severe the failure, you never give up.
You're going to fail. You're going to make some mistakes. You got to fight. You will have opposition. Things going to happen to you in life. It's called life, and it's not personal. Stuff's going to happen.
Sure, you might lose comfort and sleep. Sure, it might be frightening. But so what?
The darker the night, the brighter the morning.
You will fail your way to success. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many times people tell you that you can't do it. It doesn't matter if you don't have a dime in that bank.
The thing that's causing you pain today actually has purpose in your life. Every season you can learn. Every season you can grow. Every challenge is developing you.
That which does not kill you will make you stronger.
It's the obstacles in our life. It's the hardships. It's the mountains that we climb that make life worth living. But the mountain's not supposed to stop you. Your mountain has the materials for your miracle.
Your conditions are not always in your control. You don't always get to decide what kind of skies you face. There are some things that are outside of your control, but your courage is in your control.
Take that leap of faith. Trust yourself and know within yourself that everything is going to be all right.
The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. Oh, it's sweet to you. It's good to you. Why? See, when it's hard and there's a struggle, see, what you become in the process is more important than the dream. That's far more important. The kind of person you become, the character that you build, the courage that you develop, the faith that you're manifesting. Oh, it's something that you get up in the morning, you look yourself in the mirror, you're a different kind of person. You walk with a different kind of spirit. And people know that you know what life is, that you have embraced life. You know it was hard, but you did it all.